The 1959 to 1960 NBA season was the 14th season of the National Basketball Association. The season began on October 23, 1959 and ended on March 27, 1960. The NBA schedule was expanded from 72 games per team to 75. Spy World, this is NBA Rap. If you think about anything you want to talk about, ball, past, present, or future, just drop it in the comments right now. Hit that like button and subscribe if you learn anything new. Yo, let's get into the rest of the video. NBA 60. This season saw the Boston Celtics continue their regular season domination. They were able to go on the longest win streak in league history at the time with 17 wins and finished with the league best 59 wins and 16 losses. Following in the East were the Philadelphia Warriors, 49 wins, 26 losses, led by rookie Wilt Chamberlain. We're going to be getting into that man in just a sec. Hold on. The Syracuse Nationals finishing with a 45-30 record, and the New York Knicks finishing with a 27-48 record. In the West, the St. Louis Hawks were the top dogs, finishing with a 46-29 record. Following were the Detroit Pistons with a 30-45 record, the Minneapolis Lakers with a 25-50 record, and the Cincinnati Royals finishing with 19 wins and 56 losses. We just mentioned Wilt Chamberlain. Let's get into the season leaders and the All-Star game of this season. Our points leader was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors, putting up 2,707 points on the season, averaging 37.6. Our rebound leader was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors, putting up 1,941 rebounds, averaging 27 rebounds per game. And our assist leader was that Don man himself, Mr. Bob Cousy of the Boston Celtics, dishing out 715 assists, averaging 9.5 per game. The 1960 NBA All-Star Game was played at the Convention Hall in Philadelphia, with the East beating the West 125-115. Rookie Wilt Chamberlain of the local Philadelphia Warriors won the game's MVP award, putting up 23 points and 25 rebounds. Despite losing the game, the West actually outshot the East 41.3% to 40%. The Eastern Conference stars were Wilt Chamberlain, Tom Gola, and Paul Arzin of the Philadelphia Warriors, Bill Russell, Bob Cousy, and Bill Sharman of the Boston Celtics, Richie Guerin and Willie Knowles of the New York Knicks, and Dolph Schayes, Larry Costello, and George Yardley of the Syracuse Nationals. They were coached by Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics. The Western Conference stars were Jack Twyman of the Cincinnati Royals, Gene Shue, Walter Dukes, and Chuck Noble of the Detroit Pistons, Dick Garmaker, Hot Rod Hundley, and Elgin Baylor of the Minneapolis Lakers, as well as Bob Pettit, Cliff Hagan, and Clyde Levelette of the St. Louis Hawks. They were coached by Ed McCauley of the St. Louis Hawks. Let's get into our award winners on the season, and before I do, let me ask you something. I want to win an award. I want a YouTube plaque. I'll be completely honest with you. So if you can, just leave a like if you're enjoying yourself, if you learned something new, and subscribe if you're new. 80% of the viewers of these videos are not subscribed. So please, 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 let's win this award together. It's a team effort, man. I want to be like the Boston Celtics. Wait, let me not spoil it. Getting into our MVP of the season, who actually was also the Rookie of the Year. We had Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors, averaging 37.6 points, 2.3 assists, and 27 rebounds per game. The All-NBA first team consisted of Bob Cousy of the Boston Celtics, averaging 19.4 points, 9.5 assists, and 4.7 rebounds. Gene Shue of the Detroit Pistons, averaging 22.8 points, 3.9 assists, and 5.5 rebounds. Elgin Baylor of the Minneapolis Lakers, averaging 29.6 points, 3.5 assists, and 16.4 rebounds. Bob Pettit of the St. Louis Hawks, averaging 26.1 points, 3.6 assists, and 17 rebounds per game. And Wilt Chamberlain, 37.6 points, 2.3 assists, and 27 rebounds per game. The All-NBA second team consisted of Richie Guerin of the New York Knicks, averaging 21.8 points, 6.3 assists, and 6.8 rebounds. Bill Sharman of the Boston Celtics, averaging 19.3 points, 2 assists, and 3.7 rebounds per game. Jack Twyman of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 31.2 points per game, 3.5 assists per game, and 8.9 rebounds per game. Dolph Schayes of the Syracuse Nationals, averaging 22.5 points per game, 3.4 assists per game, and 12.8 rebounds per game. And Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 18.2 points, 3.7 assists, and 24 rebounds per game. I really have a thought, like, how are these guys getting all of these rebounds? Those rebounding numbers sound so insane to me. Like, yes, we'll see someone like a Jokic, maybe a Embiid, a Giannis, grab 20 boards these days, but that's so rare. These guys were averaging 17, 18, 23, 27 rebounds a game. I don't know, it just really makes you think. But let's get into the playoffs of the 1959 to 1960 NBA season. In round one, the Eastern Division semifinals featured the 2-seed Philadelphia Warriors defeating the 3-seed Syracuse Nationals 2-1. In the West, the 3rd-seed Minneapolis Lakers defeated the 2nd-seed Detroit Pistons 2-0 to move on to the division finals. In round two of the playoffs, we had the 1-seed Boston Celtics winning over the Warriors 4-2 to move on to the final. In the West, the 1-seed St. Louis Hawks defeated the Lakers 4-3 to advance to the finals. And here we are, guys, the 1960 NBA Finals featuring two powerhouses, Boston Celtics versus the St. Louis Hawks. Let's break it down. The 1960 NBA Finals began on March 27th. It was Boston's 4th trip to the NBA Finals and St. Louis's 3rd. This was a real back and forth 7-game series, with the Boston Celtics taking game 1 140 to 122. The St. Louis Hawks came back to win game 2 113 to 103. The Celtics won game 3 on the road 102 to 86. In game 4, Bob Pettit and Cliff Hagan combined for 57 points to lift the Hawks over the Celtics 106 to 96. Back in the Boston Garden, the Celtics took game 5 127 to 102. But St. Louis managed to clinch game 6 105 to 102. In game 7, Bill Russell's monster 22-point, 35-rebound game led the Celtics to win 122 to 103, avenging their loss to the Hawks 2 seasons prior and winning their 2nd consecutive NBA championship. This was the last time the NBA Finals would be played in March. The 1961 NBA season was the 15th season of the National Basketball Association. The season started on October 19th, 1960 and ended on March 18th, 1961. The schedule had expanded from 75 games to 79 games. The NBA was changing rapidly. With the Lakers moving from Minneapolis to Los Angeles before the season, the league became bi-coastal for the first time. Let's take a jump right into this season's team standings. The Boston Celtics once again led the league and the East with a 57-win and 22-loss record. Following them in the East were the Philadelphia Warriors, 46 wins and 33 losses, Syracuse Nationals, 38 wins, 41 losses, and the New York Knicks in last, missing the playoffs with a 21 and 58 record. The St. Louis Hawks led the West with a 51-win, 28 record, followed by the Los Angeles Lakers, 36 wins and 43 losses, Detroit Pistons, 34 and 45, and in last, the Cincinnati Royals, 33 wins, 46 losses. Something to keep in mind is that the Royals this year had a big jump from last season's 19-win and 56-loss record. This was due to adding rookie Oscar Robertson, who we'll be getting into more in just a second, so stay tapped in. Yo, you're still tapped in, right? If you are, I appreciate if you hit that like button right now. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. I'm not gonna lie, we're trying to get this YouTube plaque, man. With that being said, let's get into our season leaders and all-star game. The scoring champion of this season was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors, racking up 3,033 points, averaging 38.4 points per game. The assist leader was rookie Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals with 690 assists on the season, averaging 9.1 per game. The rebounds leader was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors, getting 2,149 rebounds, averaging 27.2 per per game. The 11th National Basketball Association All-Star Game was played at Onondaga County War Memorial Coliseum on January 17, 1961 in Syracuse, New York. This All-Star Game's MVP was Oscar Robertson, finishing with 23 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists in the West 153 to 131 win. The West opened with a flurry, outscoring the East 47 to 19 in the first quarter and led 84 to 62 at halftime. Bob Pettit with 29 points, 9 rebounds, Clyde Lovellette with 21 points, 10 rebounds, and Elgin Baylor 15 points, 10 rebounds, all seemed to benefit from Robertson's play and helped key the West blowout victory. The Eastern Conference All-Stars were Tom Hennessy, Bill Russell, and Bob Cousy of the Boston Celtics, Richie Guerin, Willie Knowles of the New York Knicks, Wilt Chamberlain, Paul Azarin, and Tom Gola of the Philadelphia Warriors, and Hal Greer, Dolph Schayes, and Larry Costello of the Syracuse Nationals. They were coached by Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics. The Western Conference All-Stars were Wayne Embry and Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, Gene Shue, Walter Dukes, and Bailey Howell of the Detroit Pistons, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Rod Hundley of the Los Angeles Lakers, as well as Cliff Hagan, Clyde Lovellette, and Bob Pettit of the St. Louis Hawks. They were coached by Paul Seymour of the St. Louis Hawks. Let's get into the award winners of the 1960 to 1961 NBA season. Winning MVP of this year was Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 16.9 points per game, 3.4 assists per game, and 23.9 rebounds per game. The Rookie of the Year was Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 30.5 points per game, 9.7 assists per game, and 10.1 rebounds per game. The All-NBA first team consisted of Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 34.8 points per game, 5.1 assists per game, and 19.8 rebounds per game. Bob Pettit of the St. Louis Hawks, averaging 27.9 points per game, 3.4 assists per game, and 20.3 rebounds per game. Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors, averaging 38.4 points per game, 1.9 assists per game, and 27 rebounds per game. Bob Cousy of the Boston Celtics, averaging 18.1 points per game, 7.7 assists per game, and 4.4 rebounds, as well as Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, 30.5 points per game, 9.7 assists per game, and 10.1 rebounds per game. Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, and Oscar Robertson all averaging 30 points plus per game was the first time this was ever seen in the NBA. The All-NBA second team featured Tom Henson of the Boston Celtics, averaging 21.3 points per game, 1.9 assists per game, and 9.9 rebounds per game. Dolph Schayes of the Syracuse Nationals, averaging 23.6 points per game, 3.7 assists per game, and 12.2 rebounds per game. Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 16.9 points per game, 3.4 assists per game, and 23.9 rebounds per game. Larry Costello of the Syracuse Nationals, averaging 14.5 points per game, 5.5 assists per game, and 3.9 rebounds per game. Gene Shue of the Detroit Pistons, averaging 22.6 points per game, 6.8 assists per game, and 4.3 rebounds per game. All right, guys, let's take it to the playoffs. This year's playoffs began on March 14th, 1961. The division semifinals were extended from a best-of-3 to a best-of-5 series. The Eastern Division semifinals saw the third-seeded Syracuse Nationals sweep the Philadelphia Warriors 3-0. In the Western Division semifinals, the 2-seeded Los Angeles Lakers defeated the 3-seed Detroit Pistons 3-2. In the Eastern Division finals, the 1-seeded Boston Celtics won against the Nationals 4-1 to advance to the finals for the 5th season in a row. The Western Division Finals went to a Game 7. The 1-seed St. Louis Hawks were able to beat the Lakers in a 105-103 Game 7 to win the series 4-3 and advance to the finals. Welcome to the 1960 to 1961 NBA Finals. We have the Boston Celtics versus the St. Louis Hawks in a rematch. Let's break down what happened in this series. The 1961 Finals began on April 2nd. This was the 4th time the Boston Celtics and the St. Louis Hawks played each other for the chip, and the 2nd time in consecutive seasons. As of today, this series remains the Hawks franchise last appearance in the NBA Finals. The Celtics held down home court, winning Game 1 in a dominant fashion, 129-95, and Game 2 3 days later, 116-108. The Hawks managed to win Game 3 in a close contest back on their home court, 124-120. Despite a 40-point, 18-rebound effort by Bob Pettit, Boston was able to steal one on the road, 119-104, to take a 3-1 lead in the series. In Game 5 on April 11th, back in Boston, powered by a 30-point, 38-rebound game by Bill Russell, the Celtics were able to win over the Hawks 121-112 and claim their third consecutive NBA championship. This was Bill Sharman, Celtics perennial all-star guard and a member of the NBA 25, 50, and 75 anniversary team final game as a player. The 1961-1962 NBA season was the 16th season of the National Basketball Association. The season began on October 19th, 1961 and ended on March 14th, 1962. The Chicago Packers entered the league, bringing the number of teams to 9. The NBA schedule was expanded for the third consecutive season. This time it went from 79 games per team to 80. The average attendance for the season was 6,055 fans per game, with the Boston Celtics leading the league in attendance with an average of 9,617 fans per game. This season is notable for having some of the most impressive individual season statistics ever. A number of records were set this season, some of which stand to this day. This year witnessed the first occurrence of a player averaging a triple-double throughout an entire season, when Oscar Robertson averaged 30.8 points, 11.4 assists, and 12.5 rebounds per game. On March 2nd, 1962, Wilt Chamberlain and his Philadelphia Warriors were playing against the New York Knicks, who were one of the worst teams at that time, entering that game with a 25-45 record. And to make things worse, his matchup at the center position had flu symptoms and ended up playing just 20 minutes. So Cleveland Buckner, a 6'9" rookie, had to cover Wilt. It was set up for a historic night. Chamberlain shot 36 for 63 from the field and went 28 for 32 from the free throw line, scoring 100 points and a 169-147 victory. It still stands as one of the greatest individual feats in sports history. Alright guys, let's check out what the team records were looking like for this season. The Boston Celtics led both the league and the East with a record 60 wins and 20 losses. Following them were the Philadelphia Warriors, 49 wins, 31 losses, the Syracuse Nationals, 41 wins, 39 losses, and the New York Knicks missing the playoffs with a 29-win, 51-loss season. The Los Angeles Lakers led the West with a 54-win, 26-loss record, followed by the Cincinnati Royals, 43 wins, 37 losses, and Detroit Pistons, 37 wins, 43 losses. The St. Louis Hawks finished with 29 wins, 51 losses, and the Chicago Packers, 18 wins, 62 losses, leaving them both unable to make the playoffs. Let's see who the season leaders were for the season, as well as dive into that All-Star game. The points leader of the season was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors, amassing 4,029 points, averaging 50.4 per game. The assist leader was Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, getting 889 assists over the course of the season, averaging 11.4 per game. The rebounds leader of the season was Wilt Chamberlain, 2,052 rebounds on the season, averaging 25.7 per game. The 1962 NBA All-Star Game was played on January 16, 1962 in St. Louis, Missouri at St. Louis Arena, with the West beating the East 150-130. Local favorite Bob Pettit won the game's MVP award. The Eastern Conference stars were Tom Henson, Bob Cousy, Bill Russell, and Sam Jones of the Boston Celtics, Richie Guerin, Willie Naulls, and Johnny Green of the New York Knicks, Wilt Chamberlain, Paul Arizin, and Tom Gola of the Philadelphia Warriors, and Dolph Schayes, Hal Greer, and Larry Costello of the Syracuse Nationals. They were coached by Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics. The Western Conference stars were Bob Pettit and Cliff Hagan of the St. Louis Hawks, Walt Bellamy of the Chicago Packers, Gene Shue and Bailey Howell of the Detroit Pistons, Oscar Robertson, Wayne Embry, Jack Twyman of the Cincinnati Royals, as well as Elgin Baylor, Frank Selvey, Jerry West, and Rudy LaRusso of the Los Angeles Lakers. They were coached by Fred Schaus of the Los Angeles Lakers. Looks like the Celtics and the Lakers really were balling out, had 4 All-Stars apiece. What does that mean? I don't know yet, but let's get into the award winners of this season. The MVP of this season went to Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 18 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, and 23.6 rebounds per game. The Rookie of the Year was Walt Bellamy of the Chicago Packers, averaging 31.6 points per game, 2.1 assists per game, and 19 rebounds per game. The NBA First Team consisted of Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 38.3 points per game, 4.6 assists per game, and 18.6 rebounds per game. Bob Pettit of the St. Louis Hawks, averaging 31.1 points per game, 3.7 assists per game, and 18.7 rebounds per game. Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors, averaging 50.4 points per game, 2.4 assists per game, and 25.7 rebounds per game. Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 30.8 points per game, 11.4 assists per game, and 12.5 rebounds per game. Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 30.8 points per game, 5.4 assists per game, and 7.9 rebounds per game. The All-NBA second team consisted of Tom Henson of the Boston Celtics, averaging 22.1 points per game, 2.1 assists per game, and 9.5 rebounds per game. Jack Twyman of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 22.9 points per game, 2.7 assists per game, and 8 rebounds a game. Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 8.9 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, and 23.6 rebounds per game. Bob Cousy of the Boston Celtics, averaging 15.7 points per game, 7.8 assists per game, and 3.5 rebounds per game. And Richie Guerin of the New York Knicks, averaging 29.5 points per game, 6.9 assists per game, and 6.4 rebounds per game. Let's get into our playoffs breakdown. The Eastern Division semifinals featured the third-seeded Philadelphia Warriors winning over the second-seed Syracuse Nationals 3-2. The West semifinals saw the 3-seed Detroit Pistons winning 3-1 over the second-seed Cincinnati Royals. The Eastern Division finals saw a tight 7-game series with the 1-seed Boston Celtics managing to win over the Nationals in Game 7, 109-107, to make it to their 4th consecutive finals. The West Division finals had 1-seed Los Angeles Lakers advancing to the finals, winning the series over the Pistons 4-1. Spa World, here we are, the 1961 to 1962 NBA Finals, where we had the Boston Celtics versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's get into it. This year's NBA Finals began on April 7th, 1962. This was the Celtics' 6th straight trip to the finals. It was the second time in NBA history and the most recent finals in which the series was decided by overtime in Game 7. The only other final series decided in overtime in the 7th game was the 1957 finals. The Celtics took home Game 1 in a 122-108 win. The Lakers came back the next day to tie up the score, winning the game 129-122. Back in Los Angeles, the Lakers managed to clutch a win over the Celtics 117-115 after Jerry West stole a Sam Jones inbound pass and hit the game-winning buzzer beater. Behind Bill Russell's 21-point, 22-rebound double-double, the Celtics tied up the series 2-2, winning 115-103 in Game 4. Game 5 saw Elgin Baylor set a finals record for an individual scorer in a game with 61 points. The Lakers took the win on the road 126-121. Game 6 in LA was won by the Celtics 119-105. Bill Russell played the entire game and had a 19-point, 10 assists, 24 rebound triple-double. In the Game 7 thriller, Frank Selby of the Los Angeles Lakers had a chance to end the Boston Celtics finals win streak at 3. With seconds remaining and the score tied, Selby, being guarded by Bob Cousy, found himself open when Cousy left him momentarily to double-team Jerry West. When Hot Rod Hundley passed Selby the ball, he had a good look at an 8-foot shot. It bounced off the rim. The game went into overtime and Boston prevailed 110-107. Leading them to their 4th consecutive finals victory. Bill Russell set a record for most rebounds in a quarter in a playoff game with 19. The 1962 to 1963 NBA season was the 17th season of the National Basketball Association. The season began on October 16, 1962 and ended on March 17, 1963. The Warriors moved from Philadelphia to San Francisco, California. They played their first seasons in the Cow Palace in Daly City. The Cincinnati Royals were promptly shifted to the NBA's East Division to replace the Warriors. The Chicago Packers are renamed the Chicago Zephyrs. The NBA starts naming Coach of the Year and NBA All-Rookie teams as part of its regular season awards. Spot World, what's going on? It's your boy Ab with NBA Rap. That was some quick facts about this season. Let's move on into the team records. The Boston Celtics led both the league and the East with a record of 58 wins and 22 losses, followed by the Syracuse Nationals with a 48-32 record, the Cincinnati Royals 42-38, and the New York Knicks 21 wins, 59 losses on the season. The West was led for the second consecutive season by the Los Angeles Lakers with a 53-win, 27-loss season, followed by the St. Louis Hawks 48-52, Detroit Pistons 34-46, San Francisco Warriors 31-49, and the Chicago Zephyrs 25 wins and 55 losses. Really, I'm just waiting on when the New York Knicks are going to have a good season. Like, what year is that going to happen? Let's get into our season leaders and all-star game. The scoring leader was Wilt Chamberlain of the San Francisco Warriors, 3,586 points, averaging 44.8. Wilt was also the rebounding leader of the season, 1,946 rebounds, averaging 24.3 per game. The assist leader was Guy Rodgers of the San Francisco Warriors with 825, averaging 10.4. The 13th National Basketball Association All-Star Game was played on January 16, 1963. The game's MVP, Bill Russell, had 19 points and 24 rebounds in the East 115-108 win at Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena in the first All-Star Game held in California. This was the last All-Star Game to feature one of the original All-Stars from the 1951 game, with Bob Cousy making his 13th and final All-Star appearance. The Eastern Conference All-Stars were Bob Cousy, Bill Russell, and Tom Henson of the Boston Celtics, Johnny Green, Richie Guerin, and Tom Gola of the New York Knicks, Lee Shafter, Hal Greer, and Red Kerr of the Syracuse Nationals, and Jack Twyman, Oscar Robertson, and Wayne Embry of the Cincinnati Royals. They were coached by Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics. The Western Conference All-Stars were Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, and Rudy LaRusso of the Los Angeles Lakers, Bob Pettit and Lenny Wilkins of the St. Louis Hawks, Don Oil and Bailey Howell of the Detroit Pistons, Wilt Chamberlain, Guy Rodgers, and Tom Meschery of the San Francisco Warriors, Walt Bellamy and Terry Dissinger of the Chicago Zephyrs. They were coached by Fred Schaus of the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's get into our award winners of the season. I'm not gonna lie, we need that Rookie of the Year award here in Spa World. Hit that like button right now, please. If you can, if you're new, subscribe. The most valuable player of the 1962-1963 season was Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 16.8 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, and 23.6 rebounds per game. The Rookie of the Year was Terry Dissinger of the Chicago Zephyrs, averaging 25.5 points per game, 3.1 assists per game, and 8.1 rebounds per game. The first time winner of Coach of the Year award was Harry Gallatin of the St. Louis Hawks. On the All-NBA first team, we had Bob Pettit of the St. Louis Hawks, averaging 28.4 points per game, 3.1 assists per game, and 15.1 rebounds per game. Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 34 points per game, 4.8 assists per game, and 14.3 rebounds per game. Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 16.8 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, and 23.6 rebounds per game. Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 28.3 points per game, 9.5 assists per game, and 10.4 rebounds per game. Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers, 27.1 points per game, 5.6 assists per game, and 7 rebounds per game. On the All-NBA second team, we had Tom Henderson of the Boston Celtics, averaging 22.1 points per game, 2.1 assists per game, and 9.5 rebounds per game. Bailey Howell of the Detroit Pistons, 22.7 points per game, 2.9 assists per game, and 11.5 rebounds per game. Wilt Chamberlain of the San Francisco Warriors, 44.8 points per game, 3.4 assists per game, and 24.3 rebounds per game. Bob Cousy of the Boston Celtics, 13.2 points per game, 6.8 assists per game, and 2.5 rebounds per game. And Hal Greer of the Syracuse Nationals, 19.5 points per game, 3.4 assists per game, and 5.7 rebounds per game. The NBA All-Rookie first team consisted of Zelmo Beatty of the St. Louis Hawks, Dave Bouchier of the Detroit Pistons, Terry Dissinger of the Chicago Zephyrs, John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics, and Chet Walker of the Syracuse Nationals. Guys, if you want the rookie numbers as well, let me know in the comments, or I could just add them in the description, in the pinned comment, whatever you guys want, let me know. Let's get into the playoffs. The 1963 NBA playoffs began on March 19th, 1963, and ended on April 24th, 1963. This was the first first time that both division final series went to a deciding Game 7. The 3-seed Cincinnati Royals were able to beat the Syracuse Nationals 3-2 in the Eastern Division semifinals. In the Western Division semifinals, the 2-seed St. Louis Hawks won over the Detroit Pistons 3-1. The Eastern Division finals saw Boston getting pushed to 7 games by Oscar Robertson-led Cincinnati Royals, but despite his 43-point performance in Game 7, Sam Jones of the Celtics scored 47 to power his team to another finals appearance. The Los Angeles Lakers and the St. Louis Hawks saw both teams defending their home court in every game. Elgin Baylor's 35 points and 15 rebounds took the Lakers to a win and second straight finals appearance. This year's finals began on April 14, 1963. This was the Celtics' 7th straight trip to the championship series and the Lakers' 2nd straight. Boston held home court in games 1 and 2, winning 117-114 in Game 1 and 113-106 in Game 2. Sam Jones led the team in scoring both of those games, and Bill Russell pulled down 67 rebounds, 29 in Game 1, 38 in Game 2. In Game 3, the Lakers took their first win, 119-99, powered by Jerry West's 42 points and Elgin Baylor's 23 rebounds and 8 assists. The Celtics took a 3-1 lead in Game 4, winning 108-105. Back in Boston, Elgin Baylor had a big 43-point, 20-rebound game to lift the Lakers over the Celtics 126-119. Game 6 saw 6 Celtics score in double figures to win the game, 112-109 in Los Angeles. And with that, the Boston Celtics have won their 5th consecutive NBA title. The 1963-1964 NBA season was the 18th season of the National Basketball Association. The Syracuse Nationals moved from Syracuse, New York to Philadelphia and become the Philadelphia 76ers. The Chicago Zephyrs moved from Chicago to Baltimore and become the Baltimore Bullets. This was an important transition year for the league. Maurice Polidorf, the only commissioner the league ever had, retired before the season began and was replaced by James Walter Kennedy, who had earlier served as publicity director. Spot World, what's going on inside? Welcome to NBA Wrap. Those were some quick facts about this season. Let's jump right into the team records. The Boston Celtics led both the league and the East with a record of 59 wins and 21 losses, followed by the Cincinnati Royals 55-25, Philadelphia 76ers 34-46, and New York Knicks 22 wins and 58 losses. In the West, the San Francisco Warriors led with a 48-win, 32-loss record, followed by the St. Louis Hawks 46-43, Los Angeles Lakers 42-38, Baltimore Bullets 31-49, and Detroit Pistons 23 wins and 57 losses. Let's hop right into this year's season leaders and all-star games. The scoring champion of the season was Wilt Chamberlain of the San Francisco Warriors, amassing 2,948 points, averaging 36.9 points per game. The rebound leader was Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, getting 1,930 rebounds on the season, averaging 24.7 per game. The assist leader was Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals with 868 assists on the season, averaging 11 per game. The 14th National Basketball Association All-Star Game was played on January 14, 1964 at Boston Garden in Boston. There were 13,464 people in attendance. Oscar Robertson won the MVP award playing 42 minutes. The guard had 26 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists as the East held off the West's fourth quarter rally to claim a 111-107 victory. This game was notable for the threat of strike by the players, who refused to play just before the game unless the owners agreed to recognize the players' union. The owners agreed primarily because it was the first All-Star game to be televised, and if it were not played due to strike, it would have been embarrassing at a time when the NBA was still attempting to gain national exposure. The NBA did not have a national TV contract at the time, but ABC agreed to televise the All-Star game and consider a contract for continuing coverage. They made it clear that if the All-Star game was not played, ABC would drop its interest completely. This directly led to many rights and freedoms not previously extended to professional basketball players. The Eastern Conference stars were Bill Russell, Tom Henderson, and Sam Jones of the Boston Celtics, Jerry Lucas, Oscar Robertson, and Wayne Embry of the Cincinnati Royals, Len Chappell and Tom Gola of the New York Knicks, as well as Chet Walker and Hal Greer of the Philadelphia 76ers. They were coached by Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics. The Western Conference stars were Jerry West and Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, Lenny Wilkins and Bob Pettit of the St. Louis Hawks, Walt Bellamy and Terry Dissinger of the Baltimore Bullets, Don Ohl and Bailey Howell of the Detroit Pistons, and and Wilt Chamberlain and Guy Rodgers of the San Francisco Warriors. They were coached by Fred Schaus of the Los Angeles Lakers. Yo, let's get into our award winners of the season, and we need that Rookie of the Year award here in Spa World. So just drop a like real quick right now. Subscribe if you're new. Let's get into it. The MVP of this season was Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 31.4 points per game, 11 assists per game, and 9.9 rebounds per game. The Rookie of the Year was Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 17.7 points per game, 2.6 assists per game, and 17.4 rebounds per game. The Coach of the Year went to Alex Hannum of the San Francisco Warriors. The All-NBA First Team featured Bob Pettit of the St. Louis Hawks, averaging 27.4 points per game, 3.2 assists per game, and 15.3 rebounds per game. Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 25.4 points per game, 4.4 assists per game, and 12 rebounds per game. Wilt Chamberlain of the San Francisco Warriors, averaging 36.9 points per game, 5 assists per game, and 22.3 rebounds per game. Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 28.7 points per game, 5.6 assists per game, and 6 rebounds per game. And Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 31.4 points per game, 11 assists per game, and 9.9 rebounds per game. The All-NBA second team consisted of Hal Greer of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 23.3 points per game, 4.7 assists per game, and 6.1 rebounds per game. John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics, averaging 19.9 points per game, 3 assists per game, and 5.4 rebounds per game. Tom Henderson of the Boston Celtics, averaging 16.5 points per game, 2.4 assists per game, and 6.1 rebounds per game. Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 17.7 points per game, 2.6 assists per game, and 17.4 rebounds per game. And Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 15 points per game, 4.7 assists per game, and 24.7 rebounds per game. The NBA All-Rookie First Team consisted of Art Heyman of the New York Knicks, Gus Johnson of the Baltimore Bullets, Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals, Rod Thorne of the Baltimore Bullets, and Nate Thurman of the San Francisco Warriors. We made it to the most important part of the season, the NBA playoffs. Let's see what went down. The Eastern Division semifinals saw the 2-seeded Cincinnati Royals winning over the Philadelphia 76ers 3-2. In the West, the 2nd-seeded St. Louis Hawks won 3-2 versus the Los Angeles Lakers. The Eastern Division finals featured the 1-seeded Boston Celtics easily winning over the Royals 4-1 to make it to the finals. The road to the finals in the West was a little more difficult. The St. Louis Hawks were able to push the 1-seeded San Francisco Warriors to 7 games. However, the Warriors made it through to the finals, winning Game 7, 105-95, thanks to a 39-point, 30-rebound performance by Wilt Chamberlain. This year's finals began on April 18th, 1964. It was the Boston Celtics' 8th straight trip to the finals and the first time the two most dominant centers, Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, had faced off on this stage. The Celtics held down their home court, winning Game 1 108-96 and Game 2 124-121, powered by Sam Jones' 31-point output and Bill Russell's 24-rebound, 9-assist game. Back home in the Cow Palace, the Warriors took Game 3 115-91. Wilt Chamberlain dropped 35 points and grabbed 25 rebounds. The Celtics took Game 4 on the road and a 3-1 lead, overcoming a Warriors fourth quarter push and winning the game 98-95. Back in the Boston Garden, the Celtics played a complete game with 6 players scoring in double digits for the second finals closeout game in a row to win 105-99 and secure their 6th straight NBA championship. The 1964-1965 NBA season was the 19th season of the National Basketball Association. The season began on October 16th, 1964 and ended on March 21st, 1965. ABC started televising the Sunday afternoon game of the week. General Motors began a sponsorship deal with the NBA. The NBA tried to lessen the impact of big men, specifically Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, by widening the foul lane from 12 to 16 feet. Spot World, what's going on? Welcome to NBA Rap. Those were some quick facts about this season. Let's jump right into the team records. The Boston Celtics led the league in the East with a 62-win, 18-loss record, followed by the Cincinnati Royals, 48 wins, 32 losses, Philadelphia 76ers, 40 wins, 40 losses, and the New York York Knicks missing the playoffs with 31 wins and 49 losses. The Los Angeles Lakers led the West with a 49-win, 31-loss record, followed by the St. Louis Hawks, 45 wins, 35 losses, Baltimore Bullets, 37 wins, 43 losses, Detroit Pistons, 31 wins, 49 losses, missing the playoffs, and the San Francisco Warriors, 17 wins, 63 losses, missing the playoffs. Let's jump into our season leaders and all-star game. The points leader of the season was Wilt Chamberlain of the San Francisco Warriors, who got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll get into that a little later. He amassed 2,534 points, averaging 34.7 a game. The rebounds leader was Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, getting 1,878 rebounds on the season, averaging 24.1. The assist leader was Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, amassing 861 assists, averaging 11.5. The 1965 NBA All-Star Game was played on January 12, 1965 at the Kell Auditorium in St. Louis, Missouri. After trailing all night, the West made a furious push in the fourth quarter to try and win the game. It proved to be too little too late though, as the East held on for a 124-123 win at St. Louis Arena. Royals guard Jerry Lucas shot 12 for 19 and finished with 25 points and 10 rebounds en route to winning the All-Star Game MVP award. The Eastern Conference All-Stars were Jerry Lucas, Oscar Robertson, and Wayne Embry of the Cincinnati Royals, Willis Reed and Johnny Green of the New York Knicks, Hal Greer, Luke Jackson, and Larry Costello of the Philadelphia 76ers, and Bill Russell, Sam Jones, and Tom Heinsohn of the Boston Celtics. They were coached by Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics. The Western Conference All-Stars were Jerry West and Elgin Baylor of the LA Lakers, Bob Pettit and Lenny Wilkins of the St. Louis Hawks, Walt Bellamy, Gus Johnson, and Don Ohl of the Baltimore Bullets, Terry Dissinger of the Detroit Pistons, and Wilt Chamberlain and Nate Thurmond of the San Francisco Warriors. They were coached by Alex Hannum of the San Francisco Warriors. Let's get into our award winners of the season, and we need that Rookie of the Year award here in Spa World. So if you made it this far, hit that like button. If you're new and learning anything new, hit that subscribe button. It helps so much. And stay tuned because I got a little giveaway I want to announce at the end of the video. The MVP of the season was Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics. The Rookie of the Year was Willis Reed of the New York Knicks, averaging 19.5 points per game, 1.7 assists per game, and 14.7 rebounds per game. The Coach of the Year went to Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics. The All-NBA First Team featured Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 27.1 points per game, 3.8 assists per game, and 12.8 rebounds per game. Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 21.4 points per game, 2.4 assists per game, and 20 rebounds per game. Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 15 points per game, 4.7 assists per game, and 24.7 rebounds per game. Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 30.4 points per game, 11.5 assists per game, and 9 rebounds per game. And Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 31 points per game, 4.9 assists per game, and 6 rebounds per game. The All-NBA Second Team featured Bob Pettit of the St. Louis Hawks, averaging 22.5 points per game, 2.6 assists per game, and 12.4 rebounds per game. Gus Johnson of the Baltimore Bullets, averaging 18.6 points per game, 3.6 assists per game, and 13 rebounds per game. Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 34.7 points per game, 3.4 assists per game, and 22.9 rebounds per game. Hal Greer of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 20.2 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, and 5.1 rebounds per game. And Sam Jones of the Boston Celtics, averaging 25.9 points per game, 2.8 assists per game, and 5.1 rebounds per game. The All-NBA Rookie Team consisted of Jim Barnes of the New York Knicks, Wally Jones of the Baltimore Bullets, Willis Reed of the New York Knicks, Howard Combies of the New York Knicks, Joe Caldwell of the Detroit Pistons, and Lucius Jackson of the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's get into the most important part of the season, the playoffs, baby. The 1965 NBA playoffs began on March 24th. In the East Division semifinals, the third-seeded Philadelphia 76ers took care of the Cincinnati Royals 3-1. They were powered by all-star guard Hal Greer, as well as Wilt Chamberlain, who they acquired in a blockbuster trade earlier in the season, giving away players Paul Newman, Connie Durking, and Lee Shafter, as well as cash for the 28-year-old dominant center. In the West Division semifinals, the three-seeded Baltimore Bullets defeated the St. Louis Hawks 3-1 in their first playoff appearance. The Western Division finals saw the one-seeded Los Angeles Lakers winning in 6 games over the Bullets. The Eastern Division finals saw the one-seed Boston Celtics and Philadelphia 76ers go to a historic Game 7. By the end of the fourth quarter, in a flurry of late scoring, Wilt Chamberlain took control of the game and scored 10 consecutive points to bring the game to Celtics 110, 76ers 100. 109 with 5 seconds to go. Following Chamberlain's last basket, the Celtics center Bill Russell inbounded the ball from under his own basket, attempting a long pass down the court. However, the high pass hit a guide wire holding up the basket. As a result, Philadelphia got the ball under its own basket, putting them into a position to take the lead and win the game. Philadelphia put the ball in the hands of guard Hal Greer. Greer first looked to Wilt Chamberlain, however the long arm Bill Russell was guarding Chamberlain closely, frustrating Greer's attempt to get him the ball. That left Greer's best target as forward, Chet Walker, who was being covered by John Havlicek. Havlicek was playing a bit off from Walker, giving Greer an opening to inbound the ball. Greer's high lob to Walker was cut short when Havlicek leaped and with his right hand deflected the ball to teammate Sam Jones, who dribbled out the rest of regulation. This steal is marked as one of the greatest moments in NBA history. The Celtics won the game 110 to 109. The 1965 NBA Finals began on April 18th. This was the Boston Celtics' 9th straight trip to the finals, the Los Angeles Lakers' 3rd finals in 4 seasons, and the 4th meeting between these teams. Lakers star Elgin Baylor was lost to knee injury just 5 minutes into the playoffs, leaving a heavy load for his fellow star Jerry West. Game 1 was won by the Celtics 142 to 110. The Celtics were able to defend their home court in Game 2 129 to 123. Powered by 43 Jerry West points and 28 rebounds by center Gene Wiley, the Lakers were able to take Game 3 126 to 105. The Celtics stole Game 4 on the road 112 to 99. In Celtics legends Tom Heinsohn's final NBA game, Boston won Game 5 in a dominant fashion 129 to 96 to win their 7th straight NBA championship. The 1965 to 1966 NBA season was the 20th season of the National Basketball Association. The season began on October 15th, 1965 and ended on March 22nd, 1996. The number 1 draft pick was Fred Hetzel, selected by the San Francisco Warriors. Spot World, what's going on? Welcome to NBA Rap. Those were some quick facts about this season. Let's jump right into the team records. The Philadelphia 76ers led the league and the East with a 55 win, 25 loss record, followed by the Boston Celtics 54 wins, 26 losses, Cincinnati Royals 45 and 35, and New York Knicks missing the playoffs 30 wins, 50 losses. The Los Angeles Lakers led the West with a 45 win, 35 loss record, followed by the Baltimore Bullets 38 and 42, St. Louis Hawks 36 and 44, San Francisco Warriors 35 and 45, missing the playoffs, and Detroit Pistons 22 wins, 58 losses, missing the playoffs. Let's jump into our season leaders and all-star game. The scoring champion of the season was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers, amassing 2,649 points, averaging 33.5 points per game. He was also the rebound leader, amassing 1,943 rebounds, averaging 24.6 rebounds a game. Leading the league in assists was Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, with 847 assists, averaging 11.1 assists per game. The 16th National Basketball Association All-Star Game was played on January 11, 1966 at Cincinnati Gardens in Cincinnati. The game was nationally televised with an attendance of 13,653 people. At this point in the season, the East Division's top 3 teams, Boston, Philadelphia, and Cincinnati, had the 3 best records in the league, with New York trailing far behind. This led East coach Red Auerbach to name Cincinnati's Adrian Smith as a reserve and not New York sharpshooting Dick Barnett, a source of some controversy at the time. The home crowd rallied behind Smith as he emerged as the game's star. It was Smith's only All-Star appearance, and he remains to date the only one-time NBA All-Star ever named the event's MVP. The Eastern Conference All-Stars were Jerry Lucas, Oscar Robertson, and Adrian Smith of the Cincinnati Royals, Wilt Chamberlain, Hal Greer, and Chet Walker of the Philadelphia 76ers, Willis Reed of the New York Knicks, and John Havlicek, Sam Jones, and Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics. They were coached by Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics. The Western Conference stars were Rick Barry, Nate Thurmond, and Guy Rodgers of the San Francisco Warriors, Eddie Miles and Dave Bouchier of the Detroit Pistons, Zelmo Beatty of the St. Louis Hawks, Bailey Howell and Don Ohl of the Baltimore Bullets, and Jerry West, Rudy LaRusso, and Gail Goodrich of the Los Angeles Lakers. They were coached by Fred Schaus of the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's get into our award winners of the season, and you know we need that Rookie of the Year award here in Spa World. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you're new, please. It really helps out, and it's free. This season's most valuable player went to Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers. 76ers. The Rookie of the Year went to Rick Barry of the San Francisco Warriors. And the Coach of the Year went to Dolph Schayes of the Philadelphia 76ers. The All-NBA First Team featured Rick Barry of the San Francisco Warriors, averaging 25.7 points per game, 2.2 assists per game, and 10.6 rebounds per game. Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 21.5 points per game, 2.7 assists per game, and 21.1 rebounds per game. Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 33.5 points per game, 5.2 assists per game, and 24.6 rebounds per game. Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 31.3 points per game, 11.1 assists per game, and 7.7 rebounds per game. And Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 31.3 points per game, 6.1 assists per game, and 7.1 rebounds per game. The All-NBA Second Team featured Hal Greer of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 22.7 points per game, 4.8 assists per game, and 5.9 rebounds per game. Sam Jones of the Boston Celtics, averaging 23.5 points per game, 3.2 assists per game, and 5.2 rebounds per game. Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 12.9 points per game, 4.8 assists per game, and 22.8 rebounds per game. Gus Johnson of the Baltimore Bullets, averaging 16.1 points per game, 2.7 assists per game, and 13 rebounds per game. John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics, averaging 18.8 points per game, 3 assists per game, and 6 rebounds per game. The NBA All-Rookie First Team featured Tom Van Arsdale of the Detroit Pistons, Rick Barry of the San Francisco Warriors, Dick Van Arsdale of the New York Knicks, Billy Cunningham of the Philadelphia 76ers, and Fred Hetzel of the San Francisco Warriors. We made it to the most important part of the season. Let's see who the chip is going to this year. The 1966 NBA playoffs began on March 23rd, 1966. In the Eastern Division semifinals, the 3-seeded Cincinnati Royals jumped to a 2-1 series lead behind Oscar Robertson and Jerry Lucas. But the 2-seeded Boston Celtics were able to recover and won the next 2 games to advance. In the West, the 3-seed St. Louis Hawks swept the Baltimore Bullets 3-0. The Eastern Division Finals saw the Philadelphia 76ers, who had 2 weeks off, stale on the court. The Sixers couldn't keep up with the Celtics and lost in 5 games. The series defeat cost Coach of the Year Dolph Schayes his job in Philadelphia. The West Division Finals saw the Lakers go up 3-1, then the Hawks even up the series to force a Game 7. Ultimately, the Lakers, led by a 35-point performance by Jerry West, took the series to move on to the NBA Finals. The 1966 NBA Finals began on April 17th. This was the Boston Celtics' 10th straight Finals appearance, which tied the North American professional sports record set by the National Hockey League's Montreal Canadiens from 1951 to 1960 and the National Football League's Cleveland Browns from 1946 to 1955. This was the Lakers' 4th Finals in 5 seasons and the 5th meeting between these teams. In Game 1, the Celtics led 121 to 119 with 30 seconds to go in the 4th. Bill Russell blocked the Elgin Baylor shot but was called for goaltending. This sent the game into overtime and the Lakers managed to steal the game on the road, winning 133 to 129. After the game, Coach Red Auerbach, who had said before the season began that this would be his last, announced that Bill Russell would become player coach in the next season. He would be the first African American to coach in the NBA. The Celtics came back in Game 2, holding Jerry West and Elgin Baylor to a combined 31 points and winning 129 to 109. For the first time in 5 years, the Celtics were able to win a Game 3 of the Finals, powered by a game-high 36-point output by Sam Jones. Boston won 120 to 106. The Boston Celtics finished the road trip strong behind John Havlicek's 32 points, giving them a 3-1 lead and a 122 to 117 victory. The Celtics tried to finish off the series at home in Game 5. However, the Lakers stars Jerry West and Elgin Baylor scored 60% of the team's points, combining for 72 points and a 121 to 117 win. The Lakers were able to win Game 6 at home 123 to 115 and push the series to a Game 7. In Game 7, the Celtics raced out to a huge lead and held off a late Los Angeles rally to win the game 95 to 93 and send Coach Red Auerbach out a champion. Boston won its 8th consecutive league title, which no other team has ever achieved in North American professional sports competition. The 1966 to 1967 NBA season was the 21st season of the National Basketball Association. The season began on October 15th, 1966 and ended on March 19th, 1967. The number 1 draft pick was Cazzie Russell, selected by the New York Knicks. The Chicago Bulls were added as an expansion team, and the Baltimore Bullets moved to the East. Spot World, what's going on? This is NBA Wrap. Those were some quick facts about this season. Let's get into the team records. The Philadelphia 76ers led the league and the East. They finished the season at 68 wins and 13 losses, the best record in league history at the time. Followed by the Boston Celtics, 60 wins, 21 losses. Cincinnati Royals, 39 wins, 42 losses. New York Knicks, 36 wins, 45 losses. And Baltimore Bullets, 20 wins, 61 losses, missing the playoffs. The West was led by the San Francisco Warriors, 44 wins and 37 losses, followed by the St. Louis Hawks, 39 and 42, Los Angeles Lakers, 36 and 45, Chicago Bulls, 33 and 48, and Detroit Pistons, 30 and 51, missing the playoffs. All right, let's jump into our season leaders and all-star game. The scoring champion of the season was Rick Barry of the San Francisco Warriors, amassing 2,775 points, averaging 35.6 per game. The rebounds leader of the season was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers, amassing 1,957 rebounds, averaging 24.2 per game. Leading the league in assists was Guy Rodgers of the Chicago Bulls with 908, averaging 11.2 per game. The 1967 NBA All-Star Game was the 17th All-Star Game. It was played on January 10th, 1967 at the Cow Palace in Daly City, California. Riding a 4-game losing streak in the All-Star Game, the West snapped out of its funk behind a monstrous scoring performance from Rick Barry. Barry pumped in 38 points on 16 for 27 shooting to win MVP honors as the West defeated the heavily favored East 135 to 120. This was widely acknowledged to be the greatest upset in the history of the event. It was the lone All-Star MVP in Barry's career, and his 27 field goals made set an All-Star game record. The game also saw the ejection of Eastern Conference head coach Red Auerbach in what would be his final NBA season on the bench. He became the only coach to be ejected in an All-Star game. The Eastern Conference stars were Hal Greer, Wilt Chamberlain, and Chet Walker of the Philadelphia 76ers, Willis Reed of the New York Knicks, Bailey Howell, Bill Russell, and John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics, Don Ohl of the Baltimore Bullets, and Oscar Robertson and Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals. They were coached by Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics. The Western Conference stars were Rick Barry and Nate Thurmond of the San Francisco Warriors, Guy Rodgers of the Chicago Bulls, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, and Darrell Imhoff of the Los Angeles Lakers, Dave Bouchier of the Detroit Pistons, Jerry Sloan of the Chicago Bulls, and Bill Bridges and Lenny Wilkins of the St. Louis Hawks. They were coached by Fred Schaus of the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's get into our award winners of the season, and you know we need that Rookie of the Year award here in Spot World. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you're new and you learned something new. I know you learned something new. The most valuable player of the season was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers. The Rookie of the Year went to Dave Bing of the Detroit Pistons, averaging 20 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, and 4.1 assists per game. The Coach of the Year went to Johnny Red Kerr of the Chicago Bulls. The All-NBA First Team featured Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 30.5 points per game, 10.7 assists per game, and 6.2 rebounds per game. Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 28.7 points per game, 6.8 assists per game, and 5.9 rebounds per game. Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 24.1 points per game, 7.8 assists per game, and 24.2 rebounds per game. Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 26.6 points per game, 3.1 assists per game, and 12.8 rebounds per game. And Rick Barry of the San Francisco Warriors, averaging 35.6 points per game, 3.6 assists per game, and 9.2 rebounds per game. On the All-NBA second team, we had Hal Greer of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 22.1 points per game, 3.8 assists per game, and 5.3 rebounds per game. Sam Jones of the Boston Celtics, averaging 22.1 points per game, 3 assists per game, and 4.7 rebounds per game. Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 13.5 points per game, 5.8 assists per game, and 21 rebounds per game. Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 17.8 points per game, 3.3 assists per game, and 19.1 rebounds per game. Willis Reed of the New York Knicks, averaging 20.9 points per game, 1.6 assists per game, and 14.6 rebounds per game. Making the NBA All-Rookie First Team was Jack Marin of the Baltimore Bullets, Dave Bing of the Detroit Pistons, Erwin Muller of the Chicago Bulls, Lou Hudson of the St. Louis Hawks, and Cazzie Russell of the New York Knicks. The 1967 NBA playoffs began on March 21st. The expansion Chicago Bulls made the playoffs in their debut season, and the New York Knicks returned to the postseason for the first time since 1959. The 1967 NBA playoffs marked a change in the league's playoff format. Every tournament since 1955 had given the top-ranked team in each division a first-round bye, but starting this season, the NBA upped the number of playoff teams to 8, thereby eliminating a first-round bye for the regular season division champions. In the Eastern Division semifinals, the 1-seed Philadelphia 76ers defeated the 3rd-seeded Cincinnati Royals 3-1. The 2nd-seeded Boston Celtics also won over the 4th-seed New York Knicks 3-1 after a 51-point outburst by Sam Jones in Game 4. In the Western Division semifinals, the 1-seeded San Francisco Warriors, led by rookie Rick Barry, swept the 3rd-seeded Los Angeles Lakers. This was also the first postseason matchup between two California-based professional sports teams among the 4 major North American sports leagues. The 2-seeded St. Louis Hawks defeated the 4-seed Chicago Bulls in a 3-0 sweep. Meeting in the Eastern Division Finals were rivals Philadelphia 76ers and Boston Celtics. After a series of historic individual performances by Wilt Chamberlain, including a quadruple-double with 24 points, 32 rebounds, 13 assists, and 12 unofficially counted blocks in Game 1, as well as a 41-rebound game in Game 4. In Game 5, the 76ers won 140-116 to snap Boston's NBA record playoff series winning streak at 18 and their championship reign at 8 years. The San Francisco Warriors were able to rely on their star players Nate Thurmond and Rick Barry to win the series 4-2 over the St. Louis Hawks and make it to the finals. The 1967 NBA Finals began on April 14th, featuring the Philadelphia 76ers versus the San Francisco Warriors. This was the first championship series in 11 years without the Boston Celtics. Games 1 and 2 saw the 76ers defend their home court 141-135 in an overtime win in Game 1 and 126-95 in Game 2. A 55-point outburst by Rick Barry powered the Warriors to a Game 3 win, 130-124. Philadelphia took one on the road. 38 points by Hal Greer and 27 rebounds by Wilt Chamberlain brought them to a 122-108 Game 4 win. The Warriors stars led the way for a Game 5 win, 117-109, and a Game 6 back on their home court. However, in Game 6, Philadelphia completed a fourth quarter rally on the road to win the game 125-122 and the NBA championship. The 1967 and 1968 NBA season was the 22nd season of the National Basketball Association. The season began October 13th, 1967 and ended on March 20th, 1968. The Seattle Supersonics and the San Diego Rockets begin play as the league expands to 12 teams. The NBA expands its regular season from 81 games per team to 82 games, where it still stands to this date. The Detroit Pistons moved from the West Division to the East Division. Spotwell, what's going on? It's NBA Rap. Those are some quick facts about this season. Let's jump into the team records. The Philadelphia 76ers led the league and the East for a third straight season with a 62-win, 20-loss season, followed by the Boston Celtics, 54-28, New York Knicks, 43-39, Detroit Pistons, 40-42, Cincinnati Royals, 39-43, missing the playoffs, and Baltimore Bullets, 36 wins, 46 losses, missing the playoffs. The St. Louis Hawks led the West with a 56-win, 26-loss record, followed by the Los Angeles Lakers, 52-30, San Francisco Warriors, 43-39, Chicago Bulls, 29-53, Seattle Supersonics, 23-59, missing the playoffs, and the San Diego Rockets, 15 wins and 67 losses, missing the playoffs. Let's jump right into our season leaders and all-star game. The scoring champion of the season was Dave Bing of the Detroit Pistons, amassing 2,142 points, averaging 27.1 per game. The rebounds leader was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers, amassing 1,952 rebounds, averaging 23.8 per game. The assist leader of the season was Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers, dishing out 702 over the season, averaging 8.6 per game. The 1968 NBA All-Star Game was the 18th All-Star Game and was played at Madison Square Garden in New York City on January 23rd, 1968. Both the expansion Seattle Sonics and the San Diego Rockets had all-stars in their first season as part of the NBA. Hal Greer shot 8 for 8 and scored 21 points off the bench to help the East to 144-124 win against the West and take home MVP honors. The Eastern Conference All-Stars were Oscar Robertson and Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals, Dick Barnett and Willis Reed of the New York Knicks, Bill Russell, John Havlicek, and Sam Jones of the Boston Celtics, Gus Johnson of the Baltimore Bullets, Dave Bing and Dave Bouchier of the Detroit Pistons, and Hal Greer and Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers. They were coached by Alex Hannum of the Philadelphia 76ers. The Western Conference All-Stars were Lenny Wilkens, Zelmo Beatty, and Bill Bridges of the St. Louis Hawks, Bob Boozer of the Chicago Bulls, Jerry West, Archie Clark, and Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, Don Kojic of the San Diego Rockets, Mahdi Abdul-Rahman of the Seattle Supersonics, and Jim King, Rudy LaRusso, Clyde Lee, and Nate Thurman of the San Francisco Warriors. They were coached by Bill Sharman of the San Francisco Warriors. Let's get into our award winners of the season, and you know we need that Rookie of the Year award here in Spa World. Just hit that like button right now. Hit that sub button if you're new. The MVP of the season went to Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers. The Rookie of the Year, Earl Monroe of the Baltimore Bullets, averaging 24.3 points per game, 4.3 assists per game, and 5.7 rebounds per game. The Coach of the Year went to Richie Guerin of the St. Louis Hawks. Making the All-NBA first team, we have Dave Bing of the Detroit Pistons, averaging 27.1 points per game, 6.4 assists per game, and 4.7 rebounds per game. Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 29.2 points per game, 9.7 assists per game, and 6 rebounds per game. Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 24.3 points per game, 8.6 assists per game, and 23.8 rebounds per game. Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 21.5 points per game, 3.1 assists per game, and 19 rebounds per game. Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 26 points per game, 4.6 assists per game, and 12.2 rebounds per game. Making the All-NBA second team, we have Hal Greer of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 24.1 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, and 5.4 rebounds per game. Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 26.3 points per game, 6.1 assists per game, and 5.8 rebounds per game. Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, averaging 12.5 points per game, 4.6 assists per game, and 18.6 rebounds per game. Willis Reed of the New York Knicks, averaging 20.8 points per game, 2 assists per game, and 13.2 rebounds per game. And John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics, averaging 20.7 points per game, 4.7 assists per game, and 6.7 rebounds per game. On the NBA All-Rookie First Team, there was Al Tucker of the Seattle Supersonics, Walt Frazier of the New York Knicks, Bill Jackson of the New York Knicks, Bob Rule of the Seattle Supersonics, and Earl Monroe of the Baltimore Bullets. Here we are at the most important part of the season, the playoffs. This year's NBA playoffs began on March 22nd, 1968. This year marked a change in that the division semifinals were changed to a best-of-5 to a best-of-7. In the Eastern Division semifinals, the 1-seed Philadelphia 76ers won over the 3-seeded New York Knicks 4-2. The 2nd-seed Boston Celtics advanced over the 4th-seed Detroit Pistons 4-2 to once again meet their rivals in the Eastern Division Finals. In the Western semifinals, the 1-seed St. Louis Hawks got bested 4-2 by the 3-seeded San Francisco Warriors. The 2nd-seeded Los Angeles Lakers put away the Chicago Bulls 4-1. In the Western Division Finals, the Lakers swept the Warriors 4-0 to move on to the finals. The Eastern Division Finals went to a Game 7 with Boston taking Game 1 on the road and the 76ers coming back to win 3 straight. Ultimately, Boston won 3 straight as well to become the first team in NBA playoff history to come back from a 3-1 series deficit. The 1968 NBA Finals began on April 21st, featuring the Boston Celtics versus the Los Angeles Lakers. This was the 6th time in 10 years these two teams saw each other in the finals. This was the last NBA Finals without a Finals MVP award given out. Boston was able to dominate the 4th quarter and win Game 1 at home 107-101. Behind Jerry West's 35 points, the Lakers were able to split the series 1-1, winning Game 2 123-113. Boston stole a road game right back, winning Game 3 127-119. 38 Jerry West points and 20 rebounds by Darrell Imhoff tied the series back up 2-2, with the Lakers winning Game 4 118-105. In a thriller Game 5 going to overtime, the Celtics, behind John Havlicek's 31 points and Bill Russell's 25 rebound game, were able to win 120-117. Game 6, John Havlicek exploded again, this time for 40 points points, and the Celtics triumphed over the Lakers 124-109 to win their 10th NBA championship. The 1968 to 1969 NBA season was the 23rd season of the National Basketball Association. The season began October 15th, 1968 and ended on March 24th, 1969. The Phoenix Suns and Milwaukee Bucks began play as the league expanded to 14 teams. The Hawks relocated from St. Louis to Atlanta. The NBA All-Defensive Team was named for the first time and became part of the NBA's regular season awards. The #1 draft pick was Elgin Baylor, selected by the San Diego Rockets. Spot World, what's going on in this NBA wrap? Those are some quick facts about this season. During this video, comment below what you feel about the NBA past or present. Let's talk ball. That being said, let's get to the team records. Alright guys, as we start to have more teams, we're going to be speeding this part up. I appreciate you if you're hearing this right now. I hope your day is great. Leading the league and the East were the Baltimore Bullets with a 57-win, 25-loss season, followed by the Philadelphia 76ers, 55-27, New York Knicks, 54-28, and Boston Celtics, 48-34. Missing the playoffs were the Cincinnati Royals, 41-41, Detroit Pistons, 32-50, and Milwaukee Bucks, 27 wins, 55 losses. The West was led by the Wilt Chamberlain acquired Los Angeles Lakers with a 55-win, 27-loss record, followed by the Atlanta Hawks, 48-34, San Francisco Warriors, 41-41, and San Diego Rockets, 37-45. Missing the playoffs were the Chicago Bulls, 33-49, Seattle Supersonics, 30-52, and the Phoenix Suns, 16 wins and 66 losses. Let's jump right into our season leaders and all-star game. Leading the league in scoring was Elgin Baylor of the San Diego Rockets, amassing 2,327 points, averaging 28.4 per game. The rebounds leader was Wilt Chamberlain of the Los Angeles Lakers, amassing 1,712 rebounds, averaging 21.1 per game. The assist leader was Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, with 772 assists on the season, averaging 9.8 per game. The 1968 NBA All-Star Game was the 19th All-Star Game and was played at the Baltimore Civic Center in Baltimore on January 14th, 1969. In the East 123-112 win over the West, Oscar Robertson won for 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists to win his 3rd All-Star Game MVP award. The Eastern Conference stars were Oscar Robertson and Jerry Lucas of the Cincinnati Royals, Earl Monroe, Gus Johnson, and Wes Unseld of the Baltimore Bullets, Bill Russell and John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics, Billy Cunningham and Hal Greer of the Philadelphia 76ers, Willis Reed of the New York Knicks, Dave Bing of the Detroit Pistons, and John McLaughlin of the Milwaukee Bucks. They were coached by Gene Shue of the Baltimore Bullets. The Western Conference All-Stars were Jerry Sloan of the Chicago Bulls, Lenny Wilkins of the Seattle Supersonics, Elgin Baylor and Don Koji of the San Diego Rockets, Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, and Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers, Joe Caldwell and Lou Hudson of the Atlanta Hawks, Rudy LaRusso and Jeff Mullins of the San Francisco Warriors, and Dick Van Arsdale and Gail Goodrich of the Phoenix Suns. They were coached by Richie Guerin of the Atlanta Hawks. Let's get into our award winners of the season, and you know we need that Rookie of the Year award here in Spot World. Please leave a like right now if you can, and subscribe if you're new. It helps the channel a lot, and it's free. The MVP of this season went to Wes Unseld of the Baltimore Bullets, who also won the Rookie of the Year award. The Coach of the Year was Gene Shue of the Baltimore Bullets. Making the All-NBA first team, we had Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 24.8 points per game, 5.4 assists per game, and 10.6 rebounds per game. Billy Cunningham of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 24.8 points per game, 3.5 assists per game, and 12.8 rebounds per game. Wes Unseld of the Baltimore Bullets, averaging 13.8 points per game, 2.6 assists per game, and 18.2 rebounds per game. Earl Monroe of the Baltimore Bullets, averaging 25.8 points per game, 4.9 assists per game, and 3.5 rebounds per game. And Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals, averaging 24.7 points per game, 9.8 assists per game, and 6.4 rebounds per game. On the All-NBA second team, we had Dave Bouchier of the New York Knicks, averaging 16.3 points per game, 2.5 assists per game, and 11.7 rebounds per game. John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics, averaging 21.6 points per game, 5.4 assists per game, and 7 rebounds per game. Willis Reed of the New York Knicks, averaging 21.1 points per game, 2.3 assists per game, and 14.5 rebounds per game. Hal Greer of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 23.1 points per game, 5 assists per game, and 5.3 rebounds per game. And Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers, averaging 25.9 points per game, 6.9 assists per game, and 4.3 rebounds per game. Making the All-NBA defensive first team, we had Dave Bouchier of the New York Knicks, Walt Frazier of the New York Knicks, Bill Russell of the Boston Celtics, Jerry Sloan of the Chicago Bulls, and Nate Thurmond of the San Francisco Warriors. Making NBA All-Defensive second team, we had Bill Bridges of the Atlanta Hawks, John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics, Rudy LaRusso of the San Francisco Warriors, Tom Sanders of the Boston Celtics, and Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers. The NBA All-Rookie team consisted of Gary Gregor of the Phoenix Suns, Art Harris of the Seattle Supersonics, Elvin Hayes of the San Diego Rockets, Bill Hewitt of the Los Angeles Lakers, and Wes Unseld of the Baltimore Bullets. Here we are, the most important part of the season, the NBA playoffs. This year's NBA playoffs began on March 26, 1969. The Eastern Division semifinals saw the 1-seeded Baltimore Bullets get swept by the 3-seed New York Knicks. The 4th-seed Boston Celtics defeated the 2nd-seed Philadelphia 76ers 4-1. In the West, the 1-seed Los Angeles Lakers topped the 3-seed San Francisco Warriors 4-2. The 4th-seed San Diego Rockets lost to the 2nd-seed Atlanta Hawks 4-2. In the Western Conference Division Finals, the Lakers beat the Hawks in 5 games to move on to the finals, while in the East, the Celtics won over the Knicks in 6 to advance to the finals. The 1969 NBA Finals began on April 23rd, featuring the Boston Celtics versus the Los Angeles Lakers. This year marked the debut of the NBA Finals Most Valuable Player Award. The Lakers were heavily favored due to the presence of stars Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, and Jerry West. In addition, Boston was an aging team. They made the playoffs as the 4th-place team in the Eastern Division and were not favored to make it to the finals. This was the 7th playoff meeting between these two teams, with the Celtics winning the first 6 meetings. Game 1 saw Jerry West going off for 53 points and 10 assists, leading his team to a 120-118 win. In Game 2, West again led the team in scoring with 41 points, and with Wilt Chamberlain's 23 rebounds and defense, the Lakers held their home court and went up 2-0 in the series. In Game 3, Celtics player coach Bill Russell decided to double-team Jerry West, which led to some exhaustion and asking to be taken out for longer stretches, in which Boston capitalized on to win 111-105. Game 4 was a turning point of the series. The Lakers had a 1-point lead with 7 seconds left and the ball. However, after receiving an inbound pass along the sideline, Elgin Baylor was controversially ruled to have stepped out of bounds, causing a turnover. Sam Jones was able to capitalize and hit a buzzer beater. The Celtics won 89-88. Despite the Lakers winning Game 5 117-104, Jerry West injured his hamstring and would be hampered by the injury for the rest of the series. Game 6 saw the Celtics easily win at home 99-90. This game was also one of Wilt Chamberlain's lesser career games. With Bill Russell hounding him, the multiple scoring champion scored only 8 points, provoking criticism that he had choked when it counted the most. In anticipation of a Lakers Game 7 win, Lakers owner Jack Kent Cook had ordered thousands of balloons with world champion Lakers printed on them, suspended from the rafters of the arena. By the end of the third quarter, the Celtics led 91-76. The Lakers went on a run to cut the lead to single digits when Wilt Chamberlain landed awkwardly and injured his knee. The Lakers then cut the lead to just 1 with 2 minutes left in the game. Chamberlain informed coach Van Breda Clough that he was ready to return, but the coach infamously told the superstar center, "We're doing fine without you," and Chamberlain stayed on the bench. Ultimately, the Celtics held on to their lead to win the game 108-106. The first Finals MVP was awarded to Jerry West. It remains the only time in NBA Finals history that the MVP was awarded to a player on the losing team. This was the first time in NBA Finals history that a Game 7 was won by the road team. This Celtics Finals victory, the last championship of the Bill Russell dynasty, is considered one of the great upsets in NBA history. The Celtics were the first team seeded below 3rd in their conference or division to win the NBA championship. The Celtics became the first team to come back from a 2-0 series deficit in the NBA Finals. This was both Sam Jones and Bill Russell's final NBA game. And that's wraps on this episode of NBA Wrapped. If you made it this far and you haven't hit that like button and sub button, I don't know what you're doing. If you didn't leave a comment, I don't know what you're doing. Come on, man. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new and you can keep learning more about ball right here.